After around 50 hours or so and one platinum trophy later, I can officially say that I have completed Clair Obscur Expedition 33 on PS5 for the very first time. And wow, what a game it is! Considering that I've played games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Persona 5 Royal, Chrono Trigger, up there amongst the best RPGs I played and enjoyed in the last couple of years. Furthermore, I feel this game is proof that you don't have to spend big, develop best graphical life simulators to make a game that's fun to play without paying an arm and a leg. And what better way to start off the review than with a highlight of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the story. Just be aware I will spoil minor bits about the story and its characters, but for the better part, I won't show the major plot twist as I want you to discover it for yourself. The game tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the story early on, taking place in a land very much inspired by France, an event known as the Gommage, which is the French word for scrub. An entity known as the Painteress paints a number on a monolith in faraway distance. Anyone who is the same age or older is scrubbed into flower petals, never to be seen again, causing many to lose their beloved ones. Some grow up in foster homes, never to have met their parents, or forced to grow up quicker. Hence the name Expedition 33, as anyone who's left, usually the oldest ones, goes on a journey to end the cycle of Gommage. But as the name implies, no expedition has managed to do so, leaving younger and younger people to pick up the trail they left behind. I found the story to be a relatable one, as it asks me a question that I often think about. Have I done enough? The game makes you rethink how we live our lives. Being in your 20s or 30s may seem young now, but you can never predict when you have the last chance to say goodbye to a close friend or family member. At the same time, the story highlights also the darker parts of humanity. With only 1 year left to live, with no guarantees it will work, it's understandable you may want to do something that's not risking your life. Despite all of that, the game has humor to break away from dark reality in a natural and authentic way that doesn't feel out of place, nor does it feel forced. There's a particular moment in early parts of the story that really sums it up.
Lucien died to save me. And Tristan, Margot, they all... I am not letting Maëlle die out here. I'm taking her home.
What? No, we have a mission!
Oh, fuck the mission! Fuck the mission, Lune! What are we gonna do, huh? Tell me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna take down the Paintress, just the three of us? My gun and your sparks?
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
When one falls. When one falls. Not if, when. We knew not all of us would make it, but we continue. As long as even one of us stands, our fight is not over.
But I'm not afraid to fight, it's just Maëlle, she's...
Maëlle swore the same oath.
I know that!
She chose her life. You and I... Come on, we always said the future of Lumiere is more important than
any individual life, yes.
Do you still believe that? Do you still believe that? Do you?
I hope I do.
Fuck the mission. Really?
That being said, the story is not perfect and has its flaws, but more on that later. Moving on to the voice acting, I have to say, I don't know how, and I mean how, Downfall Interactive managed to attract so many well-known actors, considering this is their very first game. We had the well-known voice actors within the video game industry with the likes of Jennifer English, who we may know as Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3, to Ben Starr, who is known for his role as Clive Rosfield in Final Fantasy XVI, Hollywood actors like Andy Serkis and Charlie Cox for their role as Caesar in Planet of the Apes and Daredevil respectively. Either way, every voice actor in this game, no matter how big or small the role they had, delivered fantastic performances all across the board. Feel the love and passion in dialogue. But that being said, for a game that does a lot of things right, there are some areas that can be improved upon. For example, the transition from gameplay to cutscene is not seamless as many modern games are, and admittedly, we are a bit spoiled in that area. But you know when you see the top and bottom black bars appears on the screen, then you know the cutscene is loading in the background. It takes a couple of seconds. But what annoyed me more so was the stiff mount animation during gameplay. I didn't have any issues with them during cutscenes as they look quite good, but in-game they look so hard to look at because it looks so stiff when they talk. Eventually you will get used to it, but it's one area which Soundful Interactive improves upon for the next project. And I have to guess why. It's probably because they recorded the motion capture separately from the voice acting, making it hard to translate it. And then we have the storytelling, which is for a game that's story heavy, a lot of it is told through layers of dialogue conversations without autoplay, making that chore to read through. If it wasn't for the great voice acting, I would have skipped most of them, which is sad since a lot of small details are revealed about the characters in those optional conversations. Speaking of optional conversations, in this game you will eventually unlock the option to talk with your party members at base camp, unlocking the feature to develop character relationships similar to that of Persona's social links. This is your opportunity to learn about your party members, learning about their goals, motivations, and past, fleshing out the story and building a connection with the party. As a reward, you unlock Radiant Attacks, Expedition 33's version of Final Fantasy's limit breaks, and the option to romance certain characters. There was the potential to be something close to that of Mass Effect and Persona, but there were a couple of reasons it wasn't. Number one being that character relationships can only be advanced after the main story event, meaning when you explore the open world and do side quests, nothing will trigger the option to talk with the character and develop a relationship further. Number two, that they took it too safely in my opinion, as I wish they did something similar to that of Persona 3 Reload, where if you pick the wrong option, it will have consequences of the character relationships. As I thought, when you pick an option, it will cause a consequence, but it turns out that it doesn't really matter which option you pick, it will always advance in the end. And lastly, character relationship starts too late as it's not unlocked until Act 2. And then you have spent 5 to 10 hours advancing the story, strengthening your party, and some of that time could have been spent developing the party chemistry, which I understand why developers made that choice because of what happens at the end of Act 1. But I felt there was a missed opportunity to still develop the character relationships because party members know each other's past, but we, the audience, doesn't know it. It would have been fun to learn how this group became friends and would fix another problem. There are two party members you can romance, or the lack of, should I say. But you see, the romance was the big selling point for me. I've stated several times in this video already, a lot of my favorite games have an option to romance characters, and when I romanced Lune, I was left disappointed with the end result because it came out of nowhere. Due to, as I already mentioned, most of the character relationship doesn't start until Act 2, and by then it feels too late. The romance feels rushed, there are issues with the writing. The game hints towards a romantic relationship between Ciel and Versa for the better part of the game, but if you decide to pursue that romance route, quickly learn that Ciel is a widow and lost her unborn daughter to a heartbreaking attempt at following her late husband to the afterlife. While Ciel is outgoing and easy with death on the outside, get the sense she's still mourning deep inside, making the romance feel even more like an escape rather than a genuine attempt at starting something new. And it gets worse, as you learn at the end of Act 2, there is a way for Ciel's husband to come back, making the whole romance feel worthless. When I first heard about the turn-based combat, I have to be honest, I didn't feel like playing another turn-based RPG after I just recently dropped Octopath Traveler 2, but from the moment I first tried the combat, it immediately gave me vibes of Persona 5 Royal and Legend of Dragoon. I couldn't put my controller down. If I were to pitch the combat of Expedition 33, it's not that traditional turn-based RPG. You have to actively attack and defend at all times, and when attacking, you have to time the prompts at the right time to cause the most amount of damage. As for defending, you have 4 options: dodging, parrying, radiant parrying, and jumping, meaning you have to be active at all times, otherwise you most likely die in 2 to 3 attacks. What makes the combat even more fun is that each party member has a unique playing style. For example, Mayal has 3 attack stances, each with their pros and cons. In defensive stance, Mayal receives less damage and gets more action points for parrying and dodging, while in attack stance, Mayal has more attack power but takes a lot more damage. And virtue stance is the same as attack stance, but she does a lot more damage without the negative side effects. Then we have Monoko, who works differently from the rest of the party. He has a wheel that spins every time you attack. The wheel has different types of masks. Your goal is to use a skill that matches one of the masks to maximize the effect of the skill. And instead of unlocking more skills by consuming skill points, Monoko has the unique way of unlocking new skills by defeating enemies and collecting their fee.
What are you doing?
I just need the foot. Aha!
He transforms by collecting Nevron feet. Don't ask me how it works. I've never understood.
Furthermore, I like the enemy design. Unlike a game like Octopath Traveler, where enemies may look differently, they are fundamentally defeated the same way. You discover their weakness, spam your strongest attack, and win. In this game, there are a variety of enemies that have to be defeated in a certain way, whether that's using a certain elemental attack, exclusively parrying, or shooting. It makes for a combat experience that doesn't get repetitive until the last act, where enemies becomes like mini-bosses with huge amounts of health, and it gets more repetitive as you see the same enemy you fought countless times before. You learn their attack patterns. Another flaw is how the game pretty much encourages you to parry all the time, making dodging useless, because when you parry an enemy, you get the opportunity to counterattack, but with dodging, nothing happens. The game encourages you to mix and match different builds for certain enemies, but certain builds break the flow of the combat, as you can easily, one-shot most bosses in this game with the right equipment and buffers. I really enjoyed exploring the map in this game because of its design. The map reminded me a lot of the Final Fantasies in the 90s. Instead of this huge open world like Horizon Forbidden West, where you can walk anywhere, the map is scaled down, but making it less detailed, but added colors to make each landmark easy to find and distinguishable. It was always fun to see a main area and then unlock a new part of the map. In a lot of ways, the structure is similar to that of the 2D Pokemon games, where certain areas are restricted until you find an HM, or in this case, finding stones, giving you a reason to explore previous areas and discover secrets you missed the first time around. Each level is designed like a maze with several paths encouraging exploration. The general aesthetics are breathtaking, as you just want to stop and take photo at every turn. Although not every level is like that. There are some filler levels where you just will go in, walk out. Felt there was missed opportunities to add a secret boss, or they will evolve as you progress through the story. Overall, they did a good job with the map, encouraging exploration without feeling overwhelmed. In terms of platforming, it is very basic, with the essentials: running, jumping, and climbing. Nothing to write home about, as it does what it needs to do. There's no double jump. The climbing is a simple point A to point B. My only nitpick is that I wish the camera had a slightly wider field of view, as certain party members takes up more camera space, making it hard to judge the distance when platforming. Moving on to side quests. There are very few official side quests in this game. There's no official journal or quest telling you where to go and what to do, besides the main story. Unlike a Ubisoft game, the map isn't filled with thousands of icons, overwhelming your experience. As I said about exploration, you explore the world at your own pace. It was a refreshing experience, as I feel open world games have lost their meaning as they become bigger and bigger. It's just nice walking around, discover something on the horizon, finding a new area of secret loot that wasn't on the map, just by letting the environment around you guide you where to go. I just wish there were some kind of icons underneath each level to tell you what you missed, as after playing for 50 hours, you start to forget where you've been, and some areas just have secret paths that you can easily miss, and also an option to fast travel to make things more convenient. As you naturally explore the open world, you eventually collect items. One of my favorites were to collect were the pieces of outfits for the party. You collect them by buying them from gesture merchants, completing side quests and minigames, and I haven't seen this much customization since I played Stellar Blade, which is a good thing since it reminded me of the early 2000s. A game used to reward you with tons of outfits by simply playing the game and not being locked behind a paywall. The best thing about them is that they work in cutscenes, making your playthrough unique for someone else, as there are only a handful of cutscenes where the game forces the party to wear their default outfits, which I didn't mind. Overall, I want to see more outfits added to the game in future updates. Up next are the graphics and visuals for the review. Let's talk graphics first. The game sets a statement from the moment you begin the game. Even now it amazes me what the Unreal Engine can do, and with only 30 people working on the game, knowing that most of them have never worked on a video game before, it makes it all more surreal. The art style, the art direction, the overall vibe feels like you're in a museum staring at a painting. And if you notice my gameplay footage looks a bit different from the other Expedition 33 videos, it's because I recorded most of the gameplay in HDR. And if you have the opportunity to play the game in HDR, I highly recommend it as it makes the game even more stunning. When it comes to the performance, the game has a fidelity and performance mode. I play most of it in performance mode as I prioritize 60 FPS over better graphics. From my personal experience, in the 50 hours I spent, I only noticed a couple stuttering issues as some attacks are very heavy on the visual effects. I only had about one crash, I think, and one bug where I somehow ended up spawning outside the map. Not sure how that happened, but I had to go back to an early save file. But other than that, Standfall did a fantastic job at optimizing the performance. For the things I want to be changed, the HDR at the moment can look oversaturated at times, the blacks being too black and the lighter colors being too bright. But then again, it could have just been my monitor and the recording software. But what is frustrating is the lack of a dedicated photo mode. It's a crime that a beautiful game like this doesn't have one, as at the moment, every time you try to take a photo using the PlayStation Share button, it pauses the game, covering up the amazing view. But I do expect that in a future update the game will add a photo mode. When it comes to video game music, I don't pay much attention to it really, as I'm much more focused on the gameplay aspects. That is to say, it had to be something special for me to take notice. At first, I wasn't feeling music at all. And don't get me wrong here, it's absolutely amazing and each track is massively produced to be heard countless times. It's just that none of them would make me want to go out of the way to listen on Spotify or YouTube Music in my free time. Except for two tracks, We Lost and Envie en Pendu. Both performed by Alice Deportes-Pessier and Victor Borba. Recognize the second vocalist? If you guessed it, Borba is the same vocalist who performed Virgil's theme song from Devil May Cry 5, Bury the Light, my personal favorite video game soundtrack of all time. Whenever I hear Bury the Light, I get in the mood, and the same goes for Envie en Pendu. Overall, it's a soundtrack most people will enjoy, but I'm not one of them. As I've said at the beginning of the video, having played on normal difficulty mode, it took me around 50 hours to get the Platinum Trophy, complete the story and the side content, maybe missing a couple of collectibles here and there. Now it all depends on how good you are at the game and the difficulty mode. If you play on easy mode, then I would estimate taking around 40 hours, but playing on hard mode would take around 65. And from the way the game is designed, I don't think you need a second playthrough, because once you reach the last act, everything is unlocked for you to complete everything that you missed or couldn't access before. On the other hand, if you're looking to get everything there is to see, get another perspective on the story, and get that 100%, then it will take you at least 3 playthroughs, as there are a couple of missable items and outfits that you can only get once per playthrough. There is a New Game Plus mode, but I won't return to Clair Obscur Expedition 33 anytime soon. As much as I like the game began to get repetitive towards the end and have many more games to play. With that being said, at the start of 2025, no one could have expected a French RPG From a new studio with only 30 people working on the game, be a contender for Game of the Year. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a rare AAA game in the current landscape, which hurts me to say, because when you see a modern games will raise their prices, making it less accessible for people to spend on their favorite hobby, then you have this $50 game proving that you don't have to redo what's already been done, slap a new number on it, spend over $1 billion like GTA 6 to create the highest fidelity game ever. I believe Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is another game that proves passion, artistic vision, taking risk are far more important than taking what's already been done and redoing it all over again just to get the money flowing. Because the money will come. The game has already proven that, seeing as it's already sold 3.3 million in 33 days, and is getting a film adaptation. The best thing about the game is, it exists solely because the CEO and creative director got bored of his job at Ubisoft. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a game I feel is a good entry point to the world of JRPGs and RPGs in general, because I feel it's a lot more grounded in its storytelling and doesn't take as long to complete as a game like Persona 5 Royal or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where it can feel overwhelming or being off-put by the foreign concepts. Overall, I can highly recommend Clair Obscur Expedition 33 on the PS5. That's enough for me. Now I want to hear your thoughts about the game in the comments, and thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.